Okay, it's been a while since we've done some Montreal Canadiens trade rumors, so let's head over onto what Pierre LeBrun talked about in the most recent segment of Insider Trading from the other day in regards to some Canadiens guys that might be on the move soon. And in fact, it's not even a might be, it's a, okay, this guy is definitely going to get traded soon. It's just, where to? That's the ultimate question. I'm going to let the symbiote take over my body now and abduct you in a taxi. Let's head over onto NHL Watcher's Twitter, because what he did was he summarized the most recent point made on Insider Trading. Pierre LeBrun says both the Kings and the Oilers have similar targets when it comes to left-handed defensemen. They have both expressed interest in Jakob Chychrun. Both teams talked to Montreal about Joel Edmundson, and both teams have an interest in Gavrikov as well. Now, I get it. You could say, okay, you could make a video about, like, multiple things from this one tweet. LA Chychrun, LA Edmundson, LA Gavrikov, Edmonton Chychrun, Edmundson Gavrikov, and then you could combine them both, but, like, you know, Montreal's my second favorite team. Let's go out there and talk about this idea. Mostly because when it comes to Joel Edmundson, this is another one of these guys that the Montreal Canadiens have that isn't really supposed to be, let's just say, the biggest piece that a team is going to need. These are the types of guys, the Edmondsons and Sherratts, just to throw out another name that had been on the market in the past, these are the types of guys that help your playoff odds in a pretty different way than just scoring points. They go out there and do some pretty good things in their own zone. For Ben Chiarot, I know he's having a pretty bad year this year, and there's always this meme going around saying, hey, that guy got an unprotected first-round pick, what in the world? But at the end of the day, these are players that make life a living hell for the opposition in your own zone, and there's a lot of value to be had when it comes to just getting bulldozers who can make space in front of your goalie. Edmundson is a little bit less physical, I'd say, than Ben Chiarot, but when it comes to being defensively sound, you kind of see these guys exhibiting the same type of mold. So when it comes to players like these, the Montreal Canadiens have had a few of them over the years, and you can see that Edmundson is now being valued by teams like Edmonton and teams like LA. So, when you go over to Edmundson and the profile of his play right here, 29 years old, 6'5", 225 as a left-handed defenseman, signed till the end of 2024, making 3.5 AAV. You're never really going to expect too much point production out of this guy, as this season he's got 6 points in 39 games played, on pace for about 11 total points on the year. He was never really a point producer, except for that one season in Carolina where he had 20 points in only 6 to 8 games played. But ever since then, you have yourselves Edmundson being somewhat of a shutdown-ish guy on the Canadiens. Even though his plus-minus is pretty bad, there still is some value there to be had with this defenseman. This is where things get interesting, because when you talk about LA and Edmonton, there are a few conversations you can have as to what the Habs could get in return. This is an article on Montreal Hockey Now from 1 month ago, published by Marco D'Amico. The price tag for Edmundson trade is becoming clear, and what this article does is it goes over some comments made by Chris Johnston on TSN Insider Trading again, and talks about what exactly the Canadiens would want in an Edmundson sort of trade. Take a look at this. NHL insider Chris Johnson mentioned that some high-profile players are beginning to garner interest, and the price tag on many of them is a coveted first-round pick. One player in specific that was highlighted was Edmundson, a player whose trade stock remains relatively high. The best assets at this trade deadline are mostly going to be asking for a first, and that's pretty much going to be it. That goes for the high-profile forwards, but there's also a couple of defensemen, Johnston said. I think that if the Montreal Canadiens are able to move Edmundson at this deadline, you're looking at a first-round pick plus. Same in Columbus with Gavrikov. Interest in him continues to grow, but the Canadiens remain hesitant to move their veteran defenseman for anything short of a haul. On a recent segment of Insider Trading, NHL insider Pierre LeBrun spoke about Edmundson being an attractive target for some teams, including the Oilers, but mentioned the Canadiens would only move him if the price is right. Edmundson, a shutdown defenseman, leadership guy, has Stanley Cup pedigree, said LeBrun. The Habs aren't looking to move him, by the way, but they're obviously willing to listen given where they are in their retooling. They're willing to listen on most of the veterans. This is kind of why I said at the beginning that Edmundson is probably going to get traded, just because with all the interest picking up on players like these, you're likely going to see some team go out there and give Montreal the haul that they want in exchange for this type of a guy. You got all that crap for Ben Chiarot all those years ago, so Joel Edmundson, probably is easier to go out there and make a trade for, considering that the price seems to be relatively similar to what a lot of these other players on the market could be looking for as well. So for Edmundson, I mean, if you're LA, you're Edmonton, you're looking for that leadership defensive shutdown defenseman, then Joel Edmundson could very well be your guy. It's just interesting to see what these teams would probably be asked for in a sort of trade that, I mean, okay, you gotta go out there and think about it a little bit before evaluating what sort of return is appropriate here, but Edmundson for, let's say, a first and maybe a C+, B- tier prospect, I'm sort of feeling that's more in the range of what's appropriate when you think about what the Canadiens could get. If you're LA, is it, I don't know, a prospect like a Tyler Madden or something, and a first? If you're Edmonton, is it a prospect like Raphael Lavoie, for example, and a first? Hey, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Raphael Lavoie to Montreal? Get that French connection in there, baby. Let's get that going. Of course, I'm kind of memeing around here, but like, I mean, the Oilers have apparently been interested in both Anderson and Edmundson for quite some time now, so if there is some sort of a trade involving some Oilers prospects that are out there, I have no doubt that the Kent Hughes train has probably made their presence known, saying, okay, we could probably ask about these guys, right? If you're LA, there are some prospects that I do think are valuable. All the forwards that are out there are definitely intriguing to talk about. The abundance of centers over the years. We've always talked about how the Kings and their prosperity, drafting and making trades, etc., have acquired so many forwards and centers specifically. There was a time with Turcotte and Velarde and Byfield and Madden and all these other guys, Kupari, Jared Anderson-Dolan, all on that center core, that it made it very intriguing asking the question where the Kings would go next with their prospects. Obviously, Montreal is not going to be able to get most of those guys, but still, any one of these guys towards the bottom tier of that center core, maybe it's a Madden or a Jared Anderson-Dolan plus a first for Josh Anderson. Or not Josh Anderson, excuse me, Joel Edmundson. They both start with J, so I kind of got confused there. But if you're a fan of either the Oilers or the Kings, please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about the idea of Joel Edmundson coming over to your team? If you're a team like Edmonton and you need that one final defensive piece to really help yourselves boost that playoff stock, go past the third round this season maybe, then maybe Joel Edmundson is your guy. You know how well that Brett Kulak trade worked out for you last year. Why not try again this year and give Canadiens hockey even more French prospects to cheer for like Raphael Lavoie, or maybe Xavier Bourgault? We'd made a ton of videos talking about that guy and potentially being a Canadiens target in the Josh Anderson trade sweepstakes, so you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below if you're a fan of either of these teams. If you're a Montreal fan, what are your thoughts on any of these guys coming over to the Habs in any sort of a Joel Edmundson trade? I will leave a link in the description to the article that we looked at, talking about the Edmundson price, etc., but either way, the comment section is your floor. I will bid you adieu with today's outro and talk to you later when we talk about the Canucks and the Rangers, because that game is going to happen in about an hour from now. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section about this Edmundson and Oilers and Kings thing. I hope you enjoyed this Juraj Rolls 99, and bye.